Okay, welcome to you all to today's class. Okay, just give me 1 minute. I'm just switching off the fans. Okay, so we are all here for today's class on Engineering Mathematics 1. We all know that it is offered by the NPTEL platform. NPTEL, the course code is NOCMA88. I am your PMRF-TA and I am joining with you for my partial fulfillment of PMRF requirements. My name is Shankhanarayan Chattopadhyay and I am a research scholar at the Indian Institute of Technology, Ropar, Rupnagar, Punjab. You all know that Engineering Mathematics 1, the course supervisor or the course instructor is Professor Jitendra Kumar, who is currently the HOD at the Department of Mathematics, IIT Ropar. He is also professor here. So today's class we will learn the concept of limit and continuity in the R2 plane. Okay, so without a delay, let's start. So problem number 1. Thus, knowing that 1 minus x square by 3 less than tan inverse xy by xy less than xy tells you something about the limiting value of xy tends to 0, 0 tan inverse xy divided by xy. Okay, so see that here what we say that tan inverse xy divided by xy, it is bounded by the two function 1 minus x square y square by 3 less than tan inverse xy by xy less than 1. So see what we here first we have to understand the question. What the question tells us? The question tells us that this tan inverse xy by xy, it is always bounded by the two functions 1 minus x square y square by 3 and the point 1. So what does it tells us about the limiting value of xy tends to 0, 0 tan inverse xy divided by xy. So first see the solution. That what we say, we first have that 1 minus x square y square by 3, it is less than tan inverse xy by xy less than 1. So as xy is tending towards 0, 0, what we will say, what we will get, sorry, that if we just put x equals to 0 and y equals to 0, what we will get? We will get that x square y square by 3, it is vanishing, so it is becoming 0. So as xy is tending towards 0, 0, this 1 minus x square by 3, this is tending towards 1. So the left hand side, as xy tends to 0, what happens to that left hand side? This left hand side is approaching towards 1. But what is out this one? This is already a constant. So whatever you take the limiting value, it will always remain at 1. So limit xy tends to 0, 0. This 1 will remain 1. So tan inverse xy divided by xy. As the left hand side is also tending towards 0, the 1 as xy tends to 0, 0. The right hand side also tending towards 1 as xy tends to 0, 0. What we will get? We will get that this by the implementation of Squeeze theorem. This Squeeze theorem, it has another name. Another name is that sandwich theorem. So by Squeeze theorem or sandwich theorem, what we get? We get that as the left hand side is also tending towards 1, the right hand side is also tending towards 1. So ultimately the middle part, that tan inverse xy divided by xy, it will also tend towards 1. So problem number 2. Problem number 2 is also quite similar with problem number 1. In problem number 1, we were trying to determine the middle portion when it is bounded by two well-known functions. One is the polynomial function 1 minus x square y square by 3, other one is just the constant function. So here also it is a similar problem. Here what is the question? The question is, does knowing that 2 into modulus of xy minus x square y square by 6 less than 4 minus 4 of cos square root of modulus xy less than 2 into modulus of xy tells you anything about the limit xy tends to 0, 4 minus 4 cos square root of modulus of xy divided by modulus of xy? Just think about it. I am just closing the solution. You try on your own first, then I will discuss a bit about it, how to do. Just try, give it a try. Just give it a try. Trying? Okay, so without a delay, let's try. So what is the solution? That 2 into modulus of xy, this is minus x square y square by 6 minus 4 minus 4 cos square root of modulus xy minus 2 modulus of xy. So what does it giving? It is giving that 2 minus modulus of xy by 6, 2 minus modulus xy by 6, this is less than, we are just dividing by modulus of xy. If we just divide by modulus of xy, what does we get? We get 2 minus this mod xy cancels out, and if you divide x square y square by mod xy, you will get simply mod xy. So 2 minus mod xy 6 minus 4 cos of square root modulus of xy divided by mod xy, this is less than 2. So as xy tending towards 0 0, 2 minus modulus of xy by 6, what does it happen? As xy tends to 0 0, you have to just put the value x equals to 0 and y equals to 0 here, and what you will get? You will get modulus of xy by 6, this is tending towards 2. So here is also application of this squeeze theorem or the sandwich theorem. So as xy tends to 0 0, the left hand side it is also tending towards 2, and the right hand side it is also tending towards 2, because it is itself a constant function. So whatever you take the limit, 2 will always remain at 2. So here we will just implement squeeze theorem, and what does it give? The squeeze theorem will give us 4 minus 4 cos square root of modulus xy divided by modulus of xy. This is tending towards 2 as xy tends to 0 0. Okay, so in problem 3 we have to find limit if it exists, or we have to show if the limit does not exist. Okay, so without a delay, let's read the questions first. If limit xy tends to 0 0, y square by modulus of y square by x square plus y square, we have to determine the see, this type of function has only problem on the denominator type. If denominator vanishes in those points, we have to actually check the continuity. Beg your pardon, limit. Otherwise the limit will exist. Okay. So here if we see the first question is limit xy tends to 0 0, y square by x square plus y square. So what is happening here? See, in the very next question there is limit xy tends to 0 0, 3x square y divided by x square plus y square. Here also if there are any problem, so the problem is the point 0 0 itself, because at the point 0 0 this x square plus y square term it actually vanishes. So now In the very next question, don't be scared by seeing these three variables. It is very easy one, because e to the power y square tan xz is a very nice function, and you have to just the approach is same. We are just generalizing the things. In one variable calculus we have to just treat one variable. In two variable calculus, in two variable calculus there are only two variables involved there, and if there are like three variable calculus, then there will be three variables to tackle. So don't be scared by seeing three variables here. Okay, three variables means we have to just check the limit at these 3 points. So limit solution 3a to the function fxy is y square by x square plus y square. So if we just take y equal to mx, so if we take y equal to mx, what it will give? It will give that m is not equals to 0, so mx tends to 0 as x tends to 0. So what does it mean? Implicitly we are taking that if x tends to 0, y is also taking 0. See, in real variable calculus of single variable, we have only two sides to approach to a point. Either it will be the left hand side, otherwise it will be the right hand side. But in the R2 plane, there are infinitely many paths, infinitely many curves along which you can really go to a particular point. So see, here we are showing that this function is discontinuous, the limit does not exist, beg your pardon, the limit does not exist. We have to choose a suitable path y equal to mx such that this functional value that is not unique, because we know if the limit exists, then the limit should be unique. So it is a fundamental property of limit, and it is a very beautiful property, of course, that if the limit exists, then it will be always unique. So here, to show that the limit does not exist at that point, what we are trying to take a path y equal to mx, where mx is tending towards 0 as x is tending towards to 0. So fxy equals to m square by 1 plus m square, which is dependent on m, hence it is not unique. So it is violating the property of limit, because we know if limit exists, then it must be unique. So here clearly see, if you take m equal to 1, what it will be the value? If you take m equal to 1, then m equal to 1 will imply that it will be like m equal to 1, and so if you put m equal to 1, you will get 1 square by 1 plus 1 square. So 1 square by 1 plus m square, it will be like 1 square by 1 plus m square. It will be like 1 square by 1 plus 1 square, it will be like 1 by 2. If you take m equal to 2, then it will be 2 square by 1 plus 2 square. So 2 square by 1 plus 2 square, it will be like 4 by 1 plus 4, which will be 4 by 5. So which is clearly dependent upon m, as the value is not unique. So what we conclude from here? We conclude from here that limit xy tends to 0, 0, fxy, this does not exist. Now the question number 2. Without a delay, I am just reading the question number D once again. That limit xy tends to 0, 0, 3x square y by x square plus y square. We are trying to prove that whether the limit exists or not. So without a delay, let's proceed. So here the function is fxy equal to 3x square y divided by x square plus 3x square y divided by x square plus y square. Now see, what is happening, that x square divided by x square plus y square, this y square term, it is a positive quantity. So whenever you are adding a positive quantity to some real number, so it will ultimately increase that real number. So what we will get, that x square divided by x square plus y square less than or equal to 1. So what it will give us, that it will give us, now it is a positive quantity, so it will be in between 0 to 1. So we are just multiplying with 3y. So what we will get, 0 less than or equal to 3x square y divided by x square plus y square less than or equal to 3y for xy greater than or equal to 0. So by Squeeze theorem, what we will get? By Squeeze theorem, limit xy tends to 0 0 fxy, this is equals to 0. Okay, here you can do like the left hand side, right hand side on all. Similarly you can prove by taking y less than or equal to 0, y less than or equal to 0 also you can take, and then you can combine those results to get this final result. I skipped that part for you and I have just written the result itself. Now see, question number C. Limit xyz tends to pi 0 1 by 3 e to the power y square tan of xz. So e to the power y square, it is also a very nice function. Tan xz is itself a very nice function. So here we have the product of two functions. So two functions. So fxy equals to y square by x square plus y square. So sorry, this question I have already discussed. So okay, so as f of xyz equal to e to the power y square tan of xz, as xyz tending towards pi 0 and 1 by 3. So f of xyz, if we just put like y, we will get like 0, and tan xz, if we put x equals to pi, so what we will get? It will be tan into tan of pi by 3. E to the power 0 square is e to the power 0. So e to the power 0 into tan pi by 3. E to the power 0 into tan pi by 3, what it will be? It will be tan pi by 3 only, because e to the power 0 is 1. E to the power 0 is 1. So 1 into tan pi by 3. Hello, am I audible? Hello? Okay. So tan e to the power 0 square tan pi by 3 equal to root 3. So it is the answer. So what we finally get? We finally get limit xyz tends to pi 0 1 by 3 e to the power y square tan xz. It exists and it is nothing but its value is tan of pi by 3, which is equal to root 3. So problem 4. Problem 4, we have to use epsilon delta definition. And here using epsilon delta definition, we have to prove that these functions fxy are continuous at the point 0 0. What are the functions? That is fxy equals to x square plus y square, fxy equals to x plus y by x square plus 1, and fxy equals to tan square x plus tan square y. See, x square plus y square, it is a very nice function because it is a polynomial function. X plus y by x square plus 1, it is also a very nice function. See, though it has a denominator part, but x square plus 1 can never be 0 in R2 itself, because x square plus 1 when vanishes? X square plus 1 will vanish only when that x square plus 1 should be equals to 0, and x square plus 1 equals to 0, what does it imply? X square plus 1 equals to 0, it will imply that x equals to plus minus I. So x equal to plus minus 1, plus minus I does not belongs to R2. So we will not get any point xy such that this x square plus 1 vanishes here. So fxy equal to x square plus y square, fxy equal to x plus y by x square plus 1, and tan square x plus tan square y. It is also a good point because tan square x is equal to sin square x by cos square x plus tan square y equal to sin square y by cos square y. Now cos square x and cos square y, they does not vanish in 0 0. So tan square x plus tan square y, they does not have any singularity. So but we are intuitively we are telling that okay, this function is continuous and all, but we have to prove mathematically by using the epsilon delta definition. So okay, so we have to use the epsilon delta definition. And what is the meaning of epsilon delta definition? That epsilon delta definition implies that whenever modulus norm of xy minus 0 0, here norm, these terms mean Euclidean distance, and wherever the Euclidean distance is less than delta, for any epsilon greater than 0, there should exist one delta such that square root of x square plus y square. Whenever this is less than delta, we will get that modulus of fxy minus f00. This should be less than that chosen epsilon greater than 0. So those who joined later, I am reading once again the question, problem number 4. Using epsilon delta definition, we have to prove that following functions fxy are fxy continuous at a point 0, 0. fxy equal to x square plus y square, fxy equal to x plus y by x square plus 1, fxy equal to tan square x plus tan square y. Problem 4, solution 4a, fxy equal to x square plus y square. So f00, it will be 0 square plus 0 square equals to 0. So we have to, like, for continuity, we have to just put the value 0, 0 at instead of xy. So instead of xy, if we put just 0, 0, so what we will get? We will get that fxy minus f00 modulus. This is equals to modulus of x square plus y square minus 0. This is equals to modulus of x square plus y square, and x square plus y square is itself a positive quantity. So modulus of some positive quantity will also be a positive quantity. So modulus of x square plus y square, it is x square plus y square itself. Now we are to choose one positive quantity epsilon greater than 0, and we claim that this epsilon greater than 0 is given. Then we will set the positive number delta to be square root of epsilon. Note that this 0 less than norm of xy minus 0, 0. This norm is actually nothing but the Euclidean distance. So thus 0 less than norm of xy minus 0, 0, which implies the square root of x square plus y square. This is less than delta. So what does it imply? This implies that square root of x square plus y square, this is less than delta. So square root of x square plus y square, so delta is equals to nothing but the square root of epsilon. This implies x square plus y square is less than epsilon. So we get, for given epsilon greater than 0, there exists a delta which is equal to square root of epsilon, such that 0 less than norm of xy minus 0, 0 less than delta, which implies modulus of fxy minus f00, this is less than epsilon. So the epsilon delta definition is satisfied from here. It is very easy, like the concept is like all to prove continuity or limit, the concept is same. For continuity, instead of some given constant al or m, we have to just take the functional value f00. But in limit, the functional value, we have no idea about the functional value. So we have to like for continuity, we have to like put that 0, 0. Okay, so we have like proof. Today I am really having some network issue. I don't know what is happening. So without a delay, let's start question number B. Question number B is f of xy equals to x plus y, x square plus 1. So without a delay, let's proceed. Solution of 4b. So here f of xy is x plus y divided by x square plus 1. So f00 equals to 0 plus 0 by 0 square plus 1, this is equals to 0. So modulus of fxy minus f00, this is nothing but modulus of xy divided by x square plus 1 minus 0. What does it give? It is giving that modulus of xy by x square plus 1. So it will give us that we have to note that x square plus 1 is greater than or equal to 1. Why x square plus 1 is greater than or equal to 1? X square plus 1 is greater than or equal to 1 because 1 by x square plus 1, this is less than or equal to 1. So because see, x square is a positive quantity, so 1 is itself a positive quantity. So if you add some positive quantity to 1, what it will give? It will give like that, it will increase 1, right? So 1 plus x square should be greater than or equal to 1. So it is very easy. We are using some easy techniques here. So x square plus 1 greater than or equal to 1. So it will imply 1 by x square plus 1. This is less than or equal to 1. So fxy minus f00, this modulus is less than or equal to modulus of x plus y. What will give it? So it is also a very well known inequality that modulus of two numbers is always less than or equal to sum of the the modulus of sum of two numbers is less than or equal to the sum of the modulus of the two numbers. So modulus of x plus y, it is always less than or equal to modulus of x plus modulus of y. Now norm of xy minus 0 0, this is less than delta. What does it mean? That x square plus modulus of square root of x square plus y square, this is less than delta. So x square plus y square is less than delta square. So x square less than delta square, y square less than delta square. So what does it imply? Because see, x square plus y square, the sum is itself less than delta square. So what does it imply? That it is implying that since x square plus y square is itself less than delta square, so the individual terms x square or the individual terms y square, they are also less than delta square. So x square less than delta square, y square less than delta square. So modulus of x x less than delta, modulus of y less than delta. This will ultimately imply that modulus of x plus modulus of y is less than 2 delta. We have to set delta equal to epsilon by 2. Then from 2 itself we get that modulus of x plus modulus of y, this is less than 2 into epsilon by 2, this is equals to epsilon. Hence we get norm of xy minus 0 0 less than delta fxy minus f0 0. Now there is one we have to think about it a bit, that here the delta is solely depends upon epsilon. This delta is a function of epsilon, and here to prove all the real analysis concept we usually use Euclidean distance, and it is a very standard way. There is nothing like fishy in it, but we always use Euclidean metric. Okay, and what does Euclidean metric mean? Euclidean distance or L to norm, it is nothing but square root of like if there are 2 points, say x1 y1 and x0 y0, then the distance, Euclidean distance between them will be square root of x1 minus x0 whole square plus y1 minus y0 whole square. Like as we are having like Euclidean distance, there are other distances too. We have like Euclidean distance, we have like Minkowski distance. Okay, we have that modulus distance, where see if there are 2 points x0 y0 and x1 y1, the distance between them will be modulus of x1 minus x0 plus y1 minus y0. So it is like it is a standard way what we are doing here. So I think this proof is clear to you, all of you. So now that C part, for C there is, we have to use some standard way because it is a bit tough comparatively the other two. So fxy is tan square x plus tan square y. So what is f00? For f00 we have to put x equals to 0 and y equals to 0. And what it will give? It will give tan square x plus tan square y equals to tan square 0 plus tan square 0 equal to 0. So fxy is equals to tan square x plus tan square y. So f00 is tan square 0 plus tan square 0. So tan 0 is 0 and tan 0 also 0. So 0 plus 0 we will get 0. So modulus of fxy minus f00, it will be tan square x plus tan square y, because the modulus of two positive quantities always will be that positive quantity itself. So tan square x plus tan square y, it will be sin square x divided by cos square x plus sin square y divided by cos square y. So So will be sin square x divided by 1 minus sin square x plus sin square y by 1 minus sin square y. Now we will use a simple very well known result, that is sin square x less than x square. So we have to use this identity actually. You can prove it in on your own, that sin square x, and remember these x are all measured in radian. Okay, so here is not the concept of, in calculus there is no concept of degree. All the things are measured in radian. So for your attention I am just telling you, I think you all know this thing. So using sin square x less than x square in the above 2, we will get that tan square x plus tan square x less than or equal to x square divided by 1 minus x square plus y square by 1 minus y square. We are just using that inequality, and using some algebraic manipulations we can write that tan square x plus tan square y, this is less than or equal to sorry, x square by 1 minus x square plus y square by 1 minus y square. Now let that norm of xy minus 0 0, this is less than delta. So what does it give? It gives that square root of x minus 0 the whole square plus y minus 0 whole square. So square root of x square plus y square, this is less than delta. So x square plus y square, this is less than delta square, which will eventually imply that x square less than delta square and y square is less than delta square, because their sum is itself less than delta square. Their sum is itself less than delta square. So solution 3 continued, using this fourth relation into the above third relation, and using 4 in 3 we will get that tan square x plus tan square y, it is less than or equal to x square by 1 minus x square plus y square by 1 minus y square. So we will put this delta square instead of x square. So what we will get? We will get delta square by 1 minus delta square by 1 minus delta square. Hello, am I audible? Hello, hello. Is my screen visible? Okay. So tan square x plus using 4 in 3, we get tan square x plus tan square y, this is less than or equal to x square by 1 minus x square plus y square by 1 minus y square less than or equal to delta square by 1 minus delta square plus delta square by 1 minus delta square. This will eventually give us 2 delta square by 1 minus delta square. So now we have to assume that delta 1 equal to delta square. We get tan square x plus tan square y, this is less than or equal to 2 delta 1 by 1 minus delta 1. We are just putting that delta square is equal to delta 1. Now for any given epsilon greater than 0, we will find one delta 1 from the relation 2 delta 1 by 1 minus delta 1, this is equals to epsilon. So we are just taking that 2 delta 1 by 1 minus delta 1 equal to epsilon. Why we are taking? Because remember, whenever we for a given epsilon greater than 0, our objective is to make that functional value, modulus of functional value fxy minus f00, this should be less than epsilon whenever distance between xy and 0 0, that norm distance, Euclidean distance, is less than delta. So modulus of fxy minus f00, this is less than epsilon, it is provided. So if you just solve it, delta 1 and epsilon, if you express this delta 1 in terms of epsilon and then delta by the relation delta square equal to delta 1, so what we will get? Delta equal to square root of delta 1. And what is delta 1? Delta 1 is epsilon by 2 plus epsilon. So what it will give you? It will give you that epsilon by 2 plus epsilon, so square root of epsilon by 2 plus epsilon, it will give square root of delta 1. So from 5 and 1 we get modulus of fxy minus f00 equals to tan square x plus tan square y. This is less than or equal to x square by 1 minus x square plus y square by 1 minus y square. This is less than or equal to 2 delta square by 1 minus delta square and which is less than epsilon. Here is there is 1 epsilon here. Okay, so for norm of if a norm of xy less norm of 0 norm of xy minus 0 0, this is less than delta. So what we will get that fxy is continuous at 0 0, because modulus of fxy minus x 0 0, it is less than epsilon whenever the norm distance is less than delta. So that is how the epsilon delta definition we can conclude the continuity of the function fxy. Remember always that so what will be in 3D, if there will be function fxyz, though it is not your syllabus, but for the sake of convenience I am just telling you that if there you have function fxyz, then this open ball, this Euclidean distance, it will be generalized in square root of x1 minus x0 whole square plus y1 minus y0 whole square plus z1 minus z0 whole square. Okay, it is just basic generalization. There we will have to take like square root of x1 minus x0 whole square plus y1 minus y0 whole square. So there will be square root of x1 minus x0 whole square plus y1 minus y0 whole square. So question number, we have all discussed these epsilon delta definitions and all, and I think you can now really apply these epsilon delta definitions. Really there are some nice functions, and there you can use some algebraic manipulations or some like some good mathematical tricks to prove the continuity. Okay, so without a delay, let's move to slide number 11, 12. Problem number 5. Problem number 5 is like where the function fxy equals to x square minus y square by x square plus y square is continuous. We have to prove it. So solution for the function of type pxy by qxy, where pxy and qxy are continuous. Such functions are continuous on all the points where qxy not equals to 0. So see, this x square minus y square by x square plus y square, they are always continuous at the points where qxy not equals to 0. The only problem is where qxy vanishes. And see, in our case qxy is x square plus y square, and qxy not equals to 0 for xy not equals to 0 0. Thus function fxy is continuous on all the points except, sorry for this spelling mistake, it will be except 0 0. So problem 5, we have to like check on 0 0 for point xy equals to 0 0. Let us use y equals to mx. Then fxy equals to x square minus m square x square by x square plus m square x square. So it will eventually give you that 1 minus m square by 1 plus m square. Now as the limit fxy as xy tends to 0 0, this depends upon m. See, if you put m equal to 1, then this value is equals to 0. If you put m equal to 2, then this value is 1 minus 4. It will be minus 3 by 1 plus 4, so it will be minus 3 by 5. So we see that the limit is not unique, but we know that if the limit exists, then it must be unique. So it is like here we are not getting uniqueness of the limit is not achieved. So we say that this function for different values of m, we get different limit of fxy as xy tends to 0 0, and hence fxy is not continuous at 0 0, because this function this actually depends upon m, the value of m. Okay, so we see that this function is continuous everywhere in the R2 except the point 0 0. Okay, except the point 0 0. So problem 6, okay, you have to do yourself, but I am giving some hints. Determine the set of points at which function is continuous, so see, fxy equals to this function, so we have to prove, we have to find the set on which the function is continuous. So in the very last question, remember, if you remember, this very last question is itself it is. So see, this function has only problem at the 0 0. So fxy, this first function, they are continuous in the entire R2 plane except the point 0 0. So the set at which the function is continuous is entire R2 plane except the point 0 0. Okay, and fxy equal to 3x square y, x square plus y square. So let's try it. So fxy equal to 3x square plus y square for xy not equals to 0 0, and what we are getting that f0 0 equals to 0. For the function of type pxy by qxy, or pxy qxy are continuous, so what we will say that such functions are continuous on all those points where qxy not equals to 0. In our case, qxy equals to x square plus y square, so qxy vanishes only when xy equals to 0. So qxy is not equals to 0 for all xy not equals to 0 0. So qxy has only problem at the 0 0 point. Thus function fxy is continuous on all the points except 0 0. We have to check on 0 0. For that we will use polar coordinate transformation in polar coordinates. Here we get that x equals to r cos theta, y equal to r sin theta. So this is the standard polar coordinate transformation, and x square plus y square equal to r square, and what we get that this value vector norm this norm xy minus 0 0, this is x square plus y square equal to r square. Hence xy tends to 0 0 if and only if, this if symbol, this means if and only if. So this xy tends to 0 0, this implies r also tends to 0 if and only if r tends to 0. So problem 6, we are putting that instead of a limit y tends to 0 0 fxy, so here we will put r square x to be r cos theta and y to be r sin theta. So what we will get? We will get 3 into r square cos square theta into r sin theta divided by r square cos square theta plus r square sin square theta. Now if you take in the denominator r square common, you will get r square into cos square theta plus sin square theta. So it will give us like r square into cos square theta plus sin square theta. So r square into 1, because r cos square theta plus sin square theta equal to 1. It is a very well known identity. So in the denominator part we will get r square itself, and the numerator part it is 3 into r square cos square theta into r sin theta. So it will be 3 r cube cos theta into 3 r cube cos square theta sin theta. So see, it is 3 r square cos square theta into r sin theta divided by r square. So if you just like r square, and it is r square into r, if you multiply r square into r, you will get r cube. That is 3 r square cos square theta sin theta divided by r square. So it will eventually give limit r tends to 0, 3 r cos square theta into sin theta. This is equals to 0. This is equals to f0 0. Hence f of xy is continuous at 0 0 also. So what we say about b of xy? We say that for the first question, the set of points at which function is continuous, it is R2 minus 0 0, and for the second question, it is the entire R2 plane, that is this function is continuous on the entire R2 plane. So hence fxy is continuous at 0 0 also. So problem number 7, it is a very good problem that like see, x square plus y square plus 6 xy plus 180 xy to the power 5 it is just a polynomial function. And polynomial functions are very nice function because the continuity and differentiability so we have to prove that there is a number delta greater than 0 such that if x square plus y square is less than delta square, then this modulus is less than 1 by 10,000. So it is just we will use epsilon delta definition here. There is a number delta greater than 0 such that if x square plus y square less than delta square, then this absolute value is less than 1 by 10,000. So it is just the epsilon delta definition that so we have to choose like f of xy equals to x square plus y square plus 3xy plus 180xy to the power 5. So f00 equals to 0 square plus 0 square. We are just putting xy instead of xy we are just putting 0 and 0. So now as fxy is just a polynomial function, so it is continuous. We have to set epsilon equal to this constant 1 by 10,000. So if we put epsilon equal to 1 by 10,000, what we will get? If we put epsilon equal to 1 by 10,000, so as this function is continuous, henceforth this epsilon equal to this, there exists delta greater than 0 such that 0 less than this norm is less than delta. So this is just like, see, this question is very easy. Just if you think tactically, you will understand that it is just the implementation of epsilon delta definition. Okay, so that's the same thing I am doing here. As this function is continuous, henceforth this epsilon equal to 1 by 10,000, there exists delta greater than 0 such that xy minus 0 0 less than delta. So modulus of fxy minus f00 divided by 1 by 10,000. So square root of x square plus y square less than delta. This will eventually imply that x square plus y square plus 3x square plus 180xy to the power 5 minus 0 f00 is equals to 0. This is less than 1 by 10,000, which is the value of the epsilon. So x square plus y square, this is less than delta square. So that will eventually imply that x square plus y square plus 3xy plus 180x to the power 5, this is less than 1 by 10,000. Thus there exists a delta greater than 0 such that if x square plus y square is less than delta square, then x square plus y square plus 3xy plus 180xy to the power 5 is less than also 1 by 10,000. It is just like for every given epsilon there will be one delta. That type of concept we are using here. So here particularly the value of the epsilon is taken to be 1 by 10,000. Okay. Here particularly the value of is 1 by 10,000. So for today's we will just go. Okay, am I audible? Hello? Okay, okay. So problem 8. So it is last question. So problem 8, can sine of xy by x plus y be made continuous by suitable defining it at 0 0? Just think about it. I am giving you a couple of minutes. Just think about this question. That can sine of xy by x plus y be made continuous by suitable defining it at 0 0? Just take 2 minutes and try to think it. Okay, see. So sine x plus y by x plus y, at first look it looks like by defining f00 equals to 1 we can make it continuous. As you know very well that limit t tends to 0 sin t by t equals to 1, and I think we have actually proved this result that sin t by t limit t tends to 0 sin t by t is equal to 1. But that's not the case here. If possible, let define f00 equal to n, where n is any real number. Solution continued. Here main point is to be noted that this function sin x plus y is not only have problem at 0 0 but on the whole line x and minus x, where x belongs to R. So even after defining f00 to be equals to m and limit xy tends to 0 0, sin x plus y by x plus y does not exist, because when we try to take limit by the path y equals to mx for m equals to minus 1, this limit does not exist and does not defined on the entire line. But yes, if we define on the whole line x minus x, then we can make this function sin x plus y by x plus y continuous. Okay, is it clear? So what is happening that only by making like 0 0 suitably choosing 0 0 we cannot make the function continuous, because the function is discontinuous on the denominator vanishes entirely on the x plus y line. So So whenever y equal to minus x, there is some problem. So we have to adjust all the y equal to minus x line. Once again I am just giving you a brief summary, then I will open the forum for the discussion. So those who have joined now, see just this slides once again. So the first is like problem 1. So problem 1, we are just implementing the squeeze theorem, just implementation of squeeze theorem, and just like the left hand side also tending towards 1, the right hand side also tending towards 1. So the middle value, where does it tend? It is our like question. So it is just application of squeeze theorem or sandwich theorem. Question number 2, problem 2 is also just application of problem 2 is also like application of squeeze theorem or like sandwich theorem. Problem 3, it is just like you have to determine the limits, and you have to show that whether the limit exists or not, and you have to give just ideas that whether they exist or not. Here there is this is function of 2 variables and it is a function of 3 variables, but the main idea is same. Then we have just like here we have chosen one path, selective path, where such that this function is like y equal to mx, such that this limit is actually depending upon m. The limit is not unique, so we can say that the limit doesn't exist, because if the limit exists, then the condition is that limit must be unique if it exists. Then go to question number B. Question number B also we have just used one implementation of idea. Here we have taken xy greater than or equal to 0. Similarly you can prove xy less than or equal to 0. The proof is same, but we have directly used the squeeze theorem. Okay. So here it is a function of 3 variables. So we have to put just pi 0 1 by 3, and we have to check that whether this limit exists or not. And it is a very nice function. It does not has any problem at pi 0 1 by 3. So you can say that fxyz, this limit is actually that tan pi by 3, which is equal to root 3. Using our using of epsilon delta definitions, they are very nice problems. Let's say x square plus y square is a polynomial function. So this kind of functions are very nice functions. So we can easily prove the continuity and all for these things. And the second, like question number B, the only problems will be when the denominator part vanishes. The denominator part actually does not vanish on R2, because x square plus 1, this has only problem at the point that it does not have the problem on x square plus 1 equals to 0, but this has only root in complex line, not in R2 plane. So in the complex plane, not in the R2 plane. So x square plus 1 only equals to 0 means x square equal to plus minus I, and which eventually give us that like x equal to plus minus I does not belong to R2. They are not real numbers. So it is also very nice function. And the C is the bit tough one. Here we have to use a lot more algebraic manipulations. I have discussed it all. So here we have just basic epsilon delta definition, that whenever this functional value it is less than epsilon for a given epsilon greater than 0, we have to determine one delta. That delta solely depends upon epsilon, such that whenever this norm is less than delta, this will imply modulus of fxy minus f00, this is less than epsilon. And this norm, this means actually So what does it give in question number 3, question number 4b also? So delta equals to epsilon. So here we like, here also we are some given epsilon, we have to find some delta such that whenever this norm is less than delta, it will eventually imply that modulus of xy minus f00, this is less than modulus of x plus modulus of y less than epsilon. So it is just implementation of epsilon delta definition. Here also there is bit like, this problem is a bit tricky because here you have to use a lot more algebraic manipulations and algebraic those algebraic stuffs. Here we will use like tan square x plus tan square y, and f00 is itself of 0. So this will eventually imply that like norm of xy minus 0, this is less than delta, and this will eventually just give that x square less than delta square, y square less than delta square. And now tan square x plus tan square y less than or equal to, this will be like, finally we will get 2 delta square by 1 minus delta square, and we will assume that delta 1 is equals to delta square, and we will eventually get these things. Now for any given epsilon greater than 0, we will find delta 1 from this relation, and we see that delta 1 is like just algebraic manipulation, simple algebraic manipulations will give us that delta 1 is epsilon by 2 plus epsilon. And then finally we will get like delta to be that delta square equals to delta 1, and delta equal to square root of delta 1, and we will get this thing, and eventually we will conclude that fxy is continuous at 0, 0. So this is also like a very easy problem, that this is only problem on x square plus y square equals to 0, 0, and like, so you have to check on only a point at 0, 0, because it is like, it can have only potential singularity, otherwise at every point they are like, they are continuous, as x square minus y square and x square plus y square, they itself are polynomial functions, so they are actually continuous. So for checking like 0, 0, we will just take the path y equal to mx, and it is the standard way. So now as limit fxy, this what happens, this actually depends upon m, but it should not depend upon m, because if limit exists then it should be unique. For different values of m we get different limits of fxy as xy tends to 0, 0, hence fxy is not continuous at 0, 0. So here determine these questions are also easy. This is already I have discussed that this function is not continuous at the point 0, 0, otherwise at every point it is continuous. So the set will be R2 minus 0, 0, and here it is continuous at the entire R2 plane, because this function has no problem, because this function we will just prove here by using just polar coordinate transformation that fxy is continuous at 0, 0 also. And here it is just we are using like just using the epsilon delta definition, we are choosing epsilon to be 1 by 10,000, and for that epsilon we are trying to find one suitable delta, just using epsilon delta definition, because it is just a polynomial, so it is a very nice function, so we can always use this this type of things here. So what problem 7 is just application of epsilon delta definition. It's very easy one, I have already discussed it. And can sine of x plus y by x plus y be made continuous by suitable defining it at 0, 0? The answer is no, because this function has already problem in x plus y equals to 0 line. It is not only problem in the 0, 0 point, it has already problem in the like y equal to minus x line. So when it has problem. So by simply defining at the 0 point, it will be not sufficient. So we have to define it at entire x plus y, this entire set, x minus 1 x where x belongs to R. So now I am opening for the live interaction, and I am switching off my screen, and I will try to interact with you, and I will try to address your queries.